Are you wondering, if you're a person of a certain age, like myself, maybe 50 or 60 or older, if what you have saved for retirement is enough or sufficient so that you can live a comfortable retirement life? I've been wondering if what I have is enough to last me, basically, before I die. And I wanted to talk today about a little assessment tool I used to determine this. I'd never done anything like this before. I don't use a financial advisor. I don't feel like I have enough money to do that, which is kind of silly because, it's smart to be smart with your money and to get some professional advice. But I just do my own research and whatnot. So I'm going to share in this video a rough idea of what I have in my retirement portfolio and whether I feel secure or scared. I have 2 retirement accounts because back in the day, I used to work for an employer, several employers, but I worked for companies where I was an employee. I was on the payroll. I worked as a self-employed person most of my adult life, but there was a good 10 or 15 years where I worked, for companies. And thank goodness I did, because that's where I got my retirement. The bulk of my retirement was from those jobs. You have the option to sign up, through the company to have them deduct money directly out of your paycheck and put it into a retirement account. One company I worked for had a matching contribution. It was up to like 6%, so I put in 6%. They matched it. That gave me 12% of my income in my retirement account. It was wonderful, and I think you could do a maximum of 15, so I raised my contributions so that the total was 15%, because I figured if I never see it, I'll never miss it, and it worked out fine. If I would have done this longer, I would have a lot more, probably double or triple what I have now. But I didn't. Being self-employed, working for myself was more important to me. I just didn't do well in a corporate setting. That's a topic for another video, though. But I have these 2 retirement accounts, and they're both from well-known brokerage firms, whatever you want to call them. You've heard of them, I'm sure. But the names aren't important, but they're very well respected, and I trust them. I could merge them into one or the other, but I have the biggest part of my retirement is in one of them, and then I have another with a smaller amount. And they're both significant to me because it's, my money, and it's, even though the numbers aren't that big, it's my money, and I am proud that I worked hard to save that. One of these that has the most amount of my retirement account sent an email recently asking if I'd like to use a digital AI guy or gal, I don't know, to assess my retirement portfolio, to see where I stand, whether I was going to run out of money in retirement. And at first I thought, no, I don't want to know that. But then I thought, yeah, I should do that because I do need to know. So I logged into that account and, I just clicked the link in the email because it was a secure link, and I was, careful. I'm always very careful before I click the links. But it took me to my account. I logged in, and there I was. So it was an online advisor, let's call it that. And I knew it was a program, just an AI thing, because it was asking me questions. It was, fill in the blank prompts like, what is your age? Are you taking Social Security? At what age did you start taking Social Security? So that it, can do all these calculations. And then it knows in the background, it's got my account information because it's on the account's website. And then it asked me about my budget, like what I spend every month, and I was able to easily plunk that number in because I did a video earlier this year about my monthly budget, and I'll put a link to that in the description below if you haven't seen it or want to check it out, where I talk about living cheaply and frugally every month. And I did raise that amount by about $100 because, you know, a few things have gone up. So I just wanted to be realistic. I wanted it to be accurate numbers. I didn't try to fudge anything and say, oh, my expenses are really low and my, blah, blah, blah is really high. No, I gave them true answers. It asked, what my Social Security amount was. And it asked, in addition to my monthly expenses, if I had any large ticket items other than my monthly budget. And I did. I included my homeowners and car insurance, my property taxes, and my Medicare supplement plan in premiums for the year. Those are my big expenses. I have a few other things here and there, but those are the big ones. And it also asked if I had any other income besides Social Security. And I do. I have YouTube income. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. And so I put an average because it's different every month. So I put in my income and I put in my expenses. And then it went away for 3 seconds because it's AI and it can do everything lickety-split. And it came back with the results. So 3 seconds later, or however long it wasn't very long, the results appeared on my computer screen, on my laptop. And it said I was well funded. And that was the top answer. There were 2 other answers. I don't know what they were because I was so in shock that this AI guy thought I was well funded, that I had a secure retirement in my future. I was truly shocked because I always thought my numbers are so low. My numbers are under 250,000, which isn't nothing, but it isn't great. I mean, it's not great like a lot of people have. But I do own my own home. I own my car. I pay off my credit cards every month. I use them and then I pay them off. I have no debt. So it figured my income, because I don't use all my income every month, and it figured my expenses, and it came up with this, if my portfolio increases through time, that it would be good to go for another 35 years. Well, that would make me over 100. So I can live to 100 and not go broke, evidently. I'm pretty thrilled with that. And I didn't know that until just the other day when I did this little assessment. This all took into account that my expenses would stay about the same and that my income would stay about the same, or maybe they'd each rise a little bit. My expenses might be a little greater and my income might be a little greater. Because, with Social Security, we get a COLA, a cost of living adjustment or whatever it's called. And, it's not a lot, but hopefully it keeps up a little bit with inflation. We'll see. And this also is dependent on no market crashes. Nothing bad happening in the economy, which I'm not convinced is going to be the case. I don't know, though. I don't know. I hope it doesn't happen. Seriously, for all of our sakes. I don't know. But according to this online advisor, I'm okay. And I wanted to read off my computer here. I did a little bit of research on how they figure, how this advisor kind of came up with all this. And evidently a well-funded retirement, it was actually Vanguard. I'll go ahead and say it. That was the company that I use for this retirement account. They consider these factors: maximizing savings, which I did when I was employed and I did the employer match, I put in 6%, the employer put in 6%. That was huge. That was a big bump up for me in my retirement amount that I had saved. Because if I'd only done the 6% and the employer hadn't matched that, I'd probably have half as much. So if your employer matches your retirement savings, do it. I would say do it. Another thing that they consider for a well-funded retirement approach is diversification. Investing in a balanced mix of stocks, bonds, and cash investments. And mine is a little heavy on stocks, I think, because I want things to be more risk-free than risky. It should probably be a little bit more in bonds, but I have it in one of those plans that's, it's like a mutual fund, I guess. I don't know. I know what it's called, but I'm not going to mention the exact name. And it has a conglomeration, of stocks and bonds. And it's a little heavier on stocks, but not much. So I think I'm pretty good. It's moderate risk. Out of five being riskiest, 1 being safest, mine is a 3. So I think it's well balanced. A strategic withdrawal plan. I'm not 73, so I don't have to do the required minimum distribution or whatever it's called. But evidently I should have a carefully considered plan for withdrawing funds during retirement. And, that's at least 5 years off for me. So I'm just going to deal with it closer to that time. I don't need to do it now. I have not pulled any money out of I have 2 retirement accounts. I haven't touched either one of them. And I don't want to. I want to leave them there, let them grow. They go up and down, of course, just like the market does. But unless I need it, I'm leaving it there. And the last item is consideration of healthcare costs. Planning for healthcare expenses in retirement. And it suggests using an HSA, a healthcare savings account, or a health savings account. I don't have that, but I have money saved to pay for my Medicare supplement plan in premiums, which in fact I just paid the beginning of August, and it's over $1,000 a year. But to me, I know what I'm going to owe, and I could have gone with an Advantage plan, which has no premiums, but I don't want that. A lot of hospitals and doctors aren't accepting Advantage plans, I guess. I read about this, and you have to get referrals and all this, and with a Medigap or, Medicare supplement plan, N or G, you don't have to. You could call a specialist directly and get an appointment if you feel like you need it. You have to have a reason. You can't just say, oh, I want to come see you because you're a specialist. You have to have a reason. But I feel like I have my own health savings account just by having the money saved. And if I have to pay, the deductible, I think it's $260 or something like that this year in 2025, I have the money to pay that. If I have to pay any co-pays to go to the doctor, I haven't had to do that yet. But if I did, I have the money saved, and it's a small amount, $20 or $30 a visit. So I think I've got all those things covered. And I really didn't think I was doing as well as I am. But I am so proud of myself. And I just wanted to share that with you because I can bury my head in the sand sometimes thinking about, I know I could have saved more. I should have been an employee for longer and contributed to a 401k or an IRA. But I didn't. And I still did okay. I did it for I don't know how many years. And then I became self-employed and I just never looked back, basically. And I tried to save some, but it was harder because, the fluctuations with being self-employed are a thing. So, let me know if you've ever done one of these financial digital checkups or assessments. or if you've had a financial advisor explain all this to you and, looked at all your numbers. I'm glad I did it because it's kind of a load off. I feel well funded. And I just was shocked. I don't even know what the two other categories were called, probably low funded and medium funded. I don't know. Because I didn't even look at them. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm well funded. And that was like the top tier, so it was thrilling. But I'd like to know, have you ever had the chance to do one of these? Would you do it if you had the chance? Share your story if you want to. And if you liked this video, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel if you want to see more frugal living and this type of content. And I really appreciate everybody who stops by and watches. And I'll see you next time.